What's going on, guys? If you guys are new to my channel, my name's Kish. I am a real estate wholesale business owner. I run a seven-figure wholesale business based out of Houston, Texas. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing or basically answering some questions that you guys might have that I've seen over on Instagram that I think you might have that would be super beneficial that apply to 2022 real estate wholesaling, and answer some questions that I would probably want to have answered when I got in this business, because that probably would have veered how I would have kind of tried to grow my business, how I would have started, and how I would have approached trying to get my first few deals, trying to get to six figures. So with that said, let's get right into the video. So one of the big questions I had when I got in the wholesale real estate business is, where do I start? Like, what market do I even pick, right? So I started this business when I lived in Phoenix, Arizona. If you guys don't know, super competitive market, but I was just getting into it. I didn't really know that competition was not necessarily a bad thing, but it does affect. You have to kind of look at the average deal size in markets. You have to do your own research on the demographics, the average income, the certain areas, because it does really make a big difference. So what I didn't realize when I was in the Phoenix, Arizona market was there's just a tons of competition. I mean, every guru-based person was in that market alone. So I mean, I was seeing people pull 1.5 million record lists, and they'd split them between every person. And at that point, what can I do as a wholesaler just starting out with a few $100s to be able to get a deal when they're calling thousands and thousands of the homeowners every single day, times 15, 20, 30, because everybody's calling the same list, right? Especially when they own the entire property record list of single family homes in that market. So I did a couple of deals my first year, and I started recognizing that the competition was really high. And so something that people didn't really teach me, and I never really saw the question answered, was how do I get into a better market? Now, every market should work, but it just, as me as a business owner, I wanted to go to a similar market that had same deal size, same opportunity, but just less competition. It doesn't make sense for me as a business owner to compete against some of the biggest people in the industry when I could just pivot over there, probably reduce some of my costs because I had to go a little bit virtual, but also do what they do on that level. But I also didn't want to get into a market where the average deal size was 3,000 to 5,000, right? I want deals where I'm spending lots of time on to be able to get 30, 40, 50K checks. So how I picked my market, and my market is Atlanta, Georgia, which now is kind of like a 2.0 of Phoenix, Arizona. At that time, which was about 2 years ago, it was exactly what I told you. There was less competition in the market. The demographic for income was really good. And you can find all this demographic and average income just by searching it up on Google. It's pretty easy. It'd probably take you 1 to 5 minutes to search up some of these things, but just based on general demographic rules, the average income in an area needs to be anywhere at least around 40 to 50,000. There needs to be a certain size population. I like to stick to at least above 100,000 in that market. So you can get into pretty small markets. I do as well in Atlanta. I really even stay away from the center of Atlanta. I do a lot of the surrounding kind of suburbs, and even farther out, if you guys know the market, Athens, Georgia, Columbus, Augusta. Those are some small markets, but they kind of fit the boxes, and we still do deals around there. So in my opinion, when you're trying to pick a market, it is super beneficial if you find all those check boxes kind of fit the criteria. Start in the market you live in. If I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, I guarantee I would have been to the point that I'm at now way sooner, because there's just something about being able to go to appointments or go get that contract signed or whatever that just makes your life a lot easier. The business becomes really tangible. How I started, I did the whole tangible thing. I drove for dollars. I did appointments, and now we do it all virtual. So I learned both sides of the business, but that's just my recommendation for how to pick a market. Use cold calling, texting, direct mail, cold emailing, whatever, bandit signs, whatever you think. They all technically work, so nobody's ever really wrong. But what's truly the most profitable way for the average person in the wholesale business to make money in 2022? Or how are the big dogs scaling their business to 7 figures every single month in profit? And so I never had that guidance to where until I started paying thousands of dollars to get into a mentorship, and I'm not bashing on that. It's super helpful, and I'm at the point I'm at now because of it, but I had to pay a lot of money to get it. And just obviously, I'm not going to tell you that I'm a super expert in this way of doing business, but in 2022, the best technically return on ad spend is PPC, which is pay per click. So obviously you're going to need some money to get into it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to it if you've never done a wholesale deal. I'd recommend it if you're starting to get 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 deals a month where you got money to spend, where you are comfortable spending $2,500 to $5,000 to put into it. Because essentially what PPC is it's ranking your website like cash or whatever, Georgia cash offers at the top of the page when people go and search up sell my house now, sell my house for cash. You're paying to get that spot for them to click and fill out your form, hopefully to go and get an offer. Because those people, you have to think about, they're super motivated. You don't have to go out and try to convince people to sell. You're just having people come in you, but you obviously have to pay to play to get into an industry like that. So as I said, in my rule of thumb for my marketing is I like to spend max 10% of what our company is doing per month on marketing. So just put that in perspective. If you're doing if you want a $2,000 ad spend, you should be doing about $20,000 a month. Now that's just how I run my business. Some people do way more, especially in those beginning months. Might not necessarily apply because you probably want to reinvest as much as you possibly can. But overall, if you want to know what the big dogs are doing, they're doing PPC. They're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars every single year, if not millions, to be able to get their ads ranked. And that's why you're seeing them getting deals that aren't $5,000, $10,000. They're getting spreads of $40,000, $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 on a single family home. Obviously that depends on the market. You're seeing bigger spreads in California with home prices so high, but keeping all those factors kind of similar, that's the best kind of ROI in 2022. Now, if you guys are enjoying the video, seeing some value in it, I'd super appreciate if you like and subscribed. And if you want to get notified every time I drop a video, click the notification bell. I drop videos every Tuesday and Friday. Tuesday is some sort of informational video where I'm teaching you guys, just me and the camera, spin some value. And then Fridays, I have a full-time content guy. He's filming our whole week. So you guys can see we're actually running a 7-figure business. I'm not lying to you guys. We're actually doing the business ourselves. So what I teach is what I preach at the same time. So if you guys do enjoy, don't forget to like, subscribe, but let's get right back into the video. So the third question, and something I always wondered, because when I was starting in this business, I used to almost fight tooth and nail, try to get a $3,000, a $5,000, even $7,000, sometimes $10,000 spread, or what you would call assignment fee on a deal. And I always wondered, how are these guys posting these checks for 80 grand, for 60 grand, even for 30, 40 grand, because that's a lot of equity that a homeowner would be giving up in a situation. So how did they get those deals? And what's truly kind of the reason why a homeowner would kind of allow that kind of spread on a property? Now, this answer is super specific to 2022, and I think I have a really good answer for it. And to be totally blunt with you guys, it's in 2022, it's not so much that you have to think that these guys are just 100% sharks locking things up at 20% of retail value. That's 100% not it. In 2022, it has a lot to do with the quality of the buyer that you're going and finding for these properties. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, shamelessly but proudly, we've gotten big deals. We've gotten 30K, 20K, even up to 50K deals. Now, I've never done anything in the 6 figures, but obviously patience is a virtue and we're trying to do something like that. But a lot of these deals comes from the quality of buyers that I'm finding. We don't have to go in and offer 60 and 50% on a property anymore, because that's just not where the industry is. The real estate market is super hot. If you're watching this video in 2022, it probably still will be in 2023 and 2024 based on what a lot of the big guys are saying. But if you guys don't know, about a couple years ago, especially when I got in this business, what they preached is go find the deals and the buyers will roll in. Well, in my opinion, and this is again just my opinion, I truly believe you work backwards in what they were teaching you a couple years ago. And so how I feel like that I've gotten to 7 figures in a year doing the wholesale real estate business model is finding and having probably the strongest buyers list in my market. Because not only do don't have to get properties at 50% where we'd sell them at maybe 60-70% of retail value. Now we can still lock them up at 60-70%, but we're selling them at not 70, not 80, not even 90, but sometimes 95. We've even done deals above 100% of what the retail value is, just because of supply and demand. So you guys can see, how do you get those 30, 50, 60K checks is, let's say a property that's 300,000. Now, back in the day, you're probably around 180, 200. In my market, based on my buyers, we've done deals where we lock them up at 250 and sell them at 295 when the retail market is showing it that it's at basically 300. Now you might be asking yourself, that's such a little spread. So obviously a lot of things have to align for that. It has to fit in the hedge fund criteria. It has to probably be a really nice home. And it can't have HOA rental restrictions. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. So if you're new, I don't want to confuse you, but just know the strength of your buyers will change your business. The earlier you start trying to find some of these buyers, the better. And when I say some of these big buyers, again, I already mentioned it, but it's hedge funds, private equity firms. Now you might be asking yourself, how do I find them? And I could spend a whole 45-minute video on that. But some of the basic ways that I found success was sharing lists with other people. So just trading your buyers list with other wholesalers, getting in Facebook communities and just sharing value that way. Also, when you're comping properties, if you have programs like Propstream, you can go and see who these buyers are just based on their LLCs. You just reverse search it on open corporates, then you can find and retract what their company is actually called, because usually they don't just put it in the LLC name. But also, one of the ways I found most of my buyers, you have to think, where are some of these Wall Street guys? And the answer is LinkedIn. I'd recommend building a profile on there, just making it look super professional, reaching out to analysts at these companies saying, hey, I got 10, 15 properties I'm looking on offload. Now you don't 100%, that's not probably what you're doing, but they want to work with people that are reputable. They don't want people sending them deals. But if you act in a super professional manner, you should check all the boxes for them, and you'll probably get a buy box and add them to your buyers list. Another question I had, and I never really knew until I made the mistake of doing it, so this might help you guys avoid losing deals, is when do you assign a deal and when do you double close? So if you guys don't know the difference, essentially an assignment is you're not paying two closing costs. You're pretty much handing that contract that you have with the homeowner, assigning it over to the end buyer, and you're just the middleman. That assignment fee will most likely end up on the HUD, and the homeowner will see it at closing. So if you don't want that happening and you don't want the homeowner seeing what kind of profits you're making, especially if you're getting into that 20K plus range, then I'd recommend you double close. But you guys can kind of start to see why that was a big question for me. What number is comfortable to leave as an assignment? But also depends on the company you're working with. Some of these bigger hedge funds, they don't allow assignments, so you have to double close on them anyway. But that's just you doing your due diligence the proper way, asking the end buyer if having the assignment is comfortable. Now, if a company or whoever buyer you're using is comfortable with both, here's the kind of the threshold that we use in our business. Anything 15K or less, we will typically assign if we have the possibility to, because on average, our closing costs on an average transaction are about $1,000 to $1,200. Now, it truly depends on the state you're working on, the rates you're getting from the title companies or your attorney states, but that's typically what we see. And so anything above 15K, we try to double close. Now, if the homeowner, if we have somehow good rapport, and let's say it's a 25K deal, maybe we put on the MLS, they know exactly how much we're making, I'm going to try to assign that thing all day, right? Because they know exactly what they're walking into. So if there's ever the possibility for us to not eat closing costs, we try to assign, but typically the rule of thumb is 15K or less, I'll leave it. Now, if you really don't want to, even if you have 10K deals and you really don't want to risk anything because your first or second deal, you're more than happy to double close, but just recognize you're going to have to be paying double the closing costs, and you will see that reflected on your assignment check. And number 5, and I told you guys at the beginning of the video, I cover this, and it's probably super pertinent to this video. Depending on when you're watching it, maybe you probably already know what has happened if you're watching in a year or two, but how is my business changing based on some of the regulations that are coming out? Now, if you don't know those regulations, that's fine too, but I always like to be updated. Just watch some of the bigger players, they'll usually keep you updated. But some of the things that have been going around are restriction on assignment fees with the NAR, which is obviously the head organization of realtors. It's kind of like their union. I don't know if it's specifically that, but they're trying to regulate assignments. They don't want people getting into the wholesale industry just trying to sign contracts and locking them up too high, because there is a lot of bad business that goes on, and it kind of ruins the reputation for everybody else. So please don't be one of those people if you're watching this video. But to be honest, we really aren't changing any of our business. If they are going to limit assignment fees, if it ever gets to that point, and it's truly state by state that's regulating these things, but in Georgia, fortunately, we haven't seen that happen yet. Now, if it does, what's the solution? The only thing we are really going to change is we have to double close on anything. So to be honest, we really aren't going to do deals that are 5, 6K, because we're walking away with 2, 3K at the end of the day, especially if potentially you have to hold back taxes. But if they're going to eliminate the assignment fee or require you to have your real estate license to do the assignment fees, if you guys don't know, nobody in our company has their real estate license. We'll simply just double close on everything. And if they ever restrict something like pass-through funding, where you really don't need your money, they're just going to take the money, pass it through your to the BC transaction to the AB, and you don't have any money out of pocket. All we have to do is find good private lenders to give us money, knowing that there's a back-end transaction that we're going to double close, and that 100% is going to happen. Now, I know I'm getting kind of technical on you guys, but just know that the only thing we're changing is literally nothing at this point, because scare business doesn't make money, if I'm being honest with you guys. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. If anything ever comes out, we'll adjust. If I 100% need to get a license, I'm going to get a license. You just have to adapt. But the people that are usually the most successful in this business, even in any business in general, are those that are 2 steps ahead, above regulations, seeing where the market's going. You just have to be always updated. It's your job as a business owner to know where the industry is going and keeping up to date every quarter, so you and your guys can keep killing it and keep getting assignment fees. But that's pretty much all I have for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy. Don't forget to check out that video every single Friday. Again, we're going to be dropping vlogs, and then Tuesdays is some sort of informational video. So if there's anything specific you guys want to watch or learn, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section, or I do a lot of Q&As on my Instagram as well, where I take a lot of those ideas and turn them into YouTube videos. But with that said, hope you guys do enjoy, and I'll see you in the next video.